Meter.
61 at 226 watts.
I didn't even get this.
We got some rank. He always think, robbing the bank. Like a bank. He was a stranger.
That's insane.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. The depth is your port thickness, and the height is the same thing as, it's basically an extension of the port. It's very rough. We just gotta play it.
So, why haven't you added 45s down here?
Because we just gotta play it last night.
Would you gain anything? Does 45s help you gain, you think, or?
You missed.
Probably not.
No, I mean, because up here is what matters the most. But yeah, it's very rough, as you can tell.
What did it do on the meter?
61 at 226 watts.
61 at 226 watts.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, like people like Scott Van Riper do well over
200 watts?
Yeah. People like Scott Van Riper do well over a 70 on that power.
So if you sat right there, at 200 watts would feel like a 60.
And it's at 73 hertz.
Hey. Yeah, but why? How is that 70? Is it just because it's 270 hertz right here?
Yeah, and then it's basically this from here to here is like an extension of the board. Yeah, and then like the way these are designed, there's like a huge difference between pressure from that side to this side. So if you were to sit over here, it'd only be like a mid-50.
Turn around, fuck it all the way up.
guys, I'm JacobViral and I do daily cardio videos, and I appreciate you guys watching. As y'all just saw this extreme build, have a couple of topics to talk about of this build, and sorry for no demo, but it was a SPL build at the show, so I got some footage of how his SPL build was. But before that, I'm going to go ahead and do a shout out. And the shout out today is going to go to Billy Johnson. He watches a lot of my videos. I see his comments. Great videos, Jacob. I watch all of them. I appreciate all of them, and I'd appreciate a shout out. So Billy, it's your turn, man. There's your shout out. I appreciate you watching, Billy. I see all your comments, and I appreciate you watching, as well as all of my viewers. You guys are awesome for watching my videos and giving this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the build. Even if you didn't enjoy this build because it's ugly, different, unique, maybe it might not be your style because it can't drive, but in general, give it a thumbs up just because it was something unique and different. And sorry again about not getting a demo, but at least this guy wanted to show me his system and how crazy it is, doing 161s sealed with under 300 watts. Insane. So a couple topics to talk about today. Going to be a pretty long commentary because it's a good thing to talk about, and there's some things to point out from this build that you could get some feedback on in your own build. So let's see. First off, I'd like to say, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel. There's hundreds of cardio setups of all shapes and sizes if you haven't already. Plenty of demo videos and plenty of build walkarounds. This is my own build as well as others if you're new to this channel, so welcome. First topic, talk on port size. So the port size in this build, if you notice, is really big. The port right behind basically the driver's side, it's so big because he has, it's tuned really high. I think he said he was peaked in the 70 hertz range. So that's why it's such a large port. Plus, the way these extreme builds are, you have to have a larger port because you want to peak a lot higher, and it's building up a lot of, I guess, pressure within the cabin. I don't know a lot on the extreme builds, but just by looking at it, you can tell that's part of why it's such a big port. And if you notice his glass, that sucker was thick, inches thick, 4 or 5 inches thick. That plexiglass or glass, whatever he did, that basically is way better than glass because it doesn't prevent flex, and the way it was braced and angled at a certain angle, you gain dBs that way. And if people are chasing dBs, normally mounting something like that with a real thick layer at that angle gives you a better number on the meter as well. Next thing. Door bracing. Notice on his doors was a solid plate of wood and steel, and also the way that the windows weren't even glass. They were also plexiglassed or braced in. So that's another way that he's gaining on the meter, and that's just a good option if maybe you want to do that. I personally don't. It's just too extreme for me. Center console port. So his port where the center of it was, that was actually a port tuning in between there, as you mentioned in the video. So that's tuning the frequency up even higher because it's the way the bass waves travel around the cabin, I guess I could guess and say, and that's causing the port to create another port. So there's a port at the enclosure, and then there's a port at the center of the console area, and that's like an area where I guess waves are forming a lot of more pressure on the opposite side of the port. As he mentioned, mid 55s on the driver's side, but 70s on the passenger side. Next thing, subwoofer enclosure. Notice how his subwoofers were mounted. You guys have probably, some of you guys have seen extreme builds before, some of you haven't, but his boxes were cylindrical cylinders, basically to make the box as small as possible with a good firm bracing or not minimal space to peak really high. So he had probably a really high peak resonant frequency up into the mid to high 60s or even in the 70 hertz range. So I'm no expert on this, guys. I'm just giving some feedback on this build, a lot of topics to talk about just briefly. And if you're ever thinking about some of these things you can pull, such as in the fourth order case scenario, he can tweak his sealed section of those little boxes to make them smaller by adding wood or different lengths of how he did it to tune differently. Last thing, why something so extreme like this? Why would somebody make something like this? 3 things I can think of. Chasing numbers, it's a fun hobby, and they're competitive and competing. That's really all I can think about. I mean, it's fun. It's just a little side gig. You can throw some something to for some time and get some good numbers out of it. Doing 170s is insane, especially in a stream build like this. Give me some feedback on this video as well as the build if you liked it. Thumbs up. Any questions y'all ever got, feel free to ask. I'll help as well as others. And until next time.